This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb. Hi, everyone. It's Barbara Vocatus, host of Get Inspired with Dr. Barb, podcast on education, innovation in education. We are reimagining education here, and it's leading us to all kinds of incredible conclusions. Thanks to the wonderful guests I have. I have a wonderful guest from Europe, from Slovakia, that is very close to country I used to live in there, Poland. And it's someone whom I think we've known each other for quite some time. I remember in the past I was doing, Instagram Lives. It was fun. It was fun because it was live and it was really cool to interact with some really awesome people who do something incredible in education. So her name is Veronika Darwell. And she's a teacher and she's an educator in Slovakia, but also is a mentor to teachers. So every time someone as a teacher is also a mentor, that tells me that they have something really cool to share with those teachers. There is a reason why they are mentors, and I would like her to speak about that too, like how it even happens. How does it happen in Slovakia, or maybe in this particular school system, that someone like Veronika becomes a mentor for teachers? Teachers need mentorship. I mean, come on, it's professional development, right? They need to learn how to be better all the time. That's how it works in every profession. And if something is in a way of that constant learning, that tells me something that the system is not really working very well. Welcome, my dear friend Veronika, on my podcast, on my show, Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.
Thank you so much. Hello, Barb. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone, our wonderful audience, for joining us. I would like to, Veronika, start a little bit more with your background. Why did you even wanted to become teacher? And then if we can talk a little bit about what happened with mentorship. How did it start, and why you want to mentor teachers?
Thank you. What a great question.
I'm trying.
Very broad question. Yeah, it's kind of, I would say I didn't choose it, it chose me, in a way, because when I used to live in England, I used to work as a volunteer in one of the schools, one of the special schools near Cambridge. And when I finally was able to work legally there, so I got invited for an interview at that school, and then I was working there as a support worker and later as a learning support assistant. And it kind of got me into primary teaching later on, and I kind of got a degree in that. So I kind of became a primary teacher. And the journey was kind of nice because I was sitting at the back of the classroom at the beginning, so I had the opportunities to kind of soak it all in, see many different teachers interacting with the students. And then when I got to do my degree, then it was really easy for me to kind of put it all into words, what I was doing, and like building up my portfolio. And yeah, so it kind of found me due to circumstances that I was kind of didn't want to just be limited to as to what I could do when I was living in the UK, and I wanted to kind of explore different options, and I could do that thanks to volunteering. So that's kind of found me.
So I need to kind of ask quick here. I mean, you just find yourself in this adventure there, right? But that really gave you a lot of opportunities too, because I mean, that was a really awesome opportunity to learn and become better, more fluent at English, obviously, right? So being immersed in that English-speaking culture, and right? I mean, there's no question that was a big. I mean, every time you are thrown in a different culture and you have to learn the language, it's hard, but it gives you a lot, right? In return.
For sure, and for me, it wasn't just the culture and language. Because I was working at the special school, it was the realization that I was, as old as my then students. So I was in my early 20s, and the school was from the early kindergarten stage until the late 18, 20-year-olds. And I was in my early 20s, and our students had cerebral palsy, so there was kind of wide range of different kind of scale of the disability, and I was at the same age as some of my students, more or less. There were maybe a couple of years difference, and the realization that how life could turn out for some people at that age was really transformed me in a way, because I started to appreciate things a lot more, and my kind of world opened up so much to a diverse world, not just culturally, but also emotionally, and how I kind of operated since then in my life, but also in my teaching. So that helped me a lot,
This is
and that was a very
amazing.
good experience, yeah, for me. And
You know,
then when I
we,
started working with the
yeah.
primary children, again, you have the diversity there, but it was
Mhm.
different. It was the special education as such. But now, more and more, as you know, we see it in the classroom, and the kind of the diverse environment that our world is something that we all need to acknowledge, and it's just not like one color suits all. So, yeah.
Totally, totally. And the educational system, by and large, still in almost every country, is really based on this old industrial mass production model, right? Unfortunately. So we supposedly know we have to teach children in different ways based on their needs and how they learn. But as we know, it doesn't work that well, very well, right? It really depends on a lot on the teachers and a lot of definitely factors. But I think also what you just said, you had this lived experience, both ends of being there and being in a different country, and this experience made you realize certain things. And that's also another thing that sometimes education has something missing, because kids need experiences in order to learn. Like in order to learn anything about life and not just subjects and how to get good grades, they need some experiences, right? And I'm not saying that they all have to go to England, but there's other ways of providing experiences to them. And you doing it in your teaching. And by the way, you also wrote this wonderful book that really evidences your ideas about teaching and how children need experiences, how they need more authentic teaching, because there's always something in their minds that allows this teaching to unfold, right? Because kids are curious. So we need to take advantage of this. And the book's title is, of course, When You Are Curious. So it's a very telling title. And I would like you to tell us a little bit about the book, why you decided to write the book, and how it connects to your teaching. And then we still have to talk a little bit about this mentorship aspect, but maybe for the book and how it connects with your teaching.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because I used to work in international schools with different international curricula when I came back to Slovakia as well. I experienced the primary years program, which is part of the international baccalaureate. And, I kind of liked the idea of children taking the ownership, like having an agency in the classroom. As you mentioned, authenticity is a key to learning and being. Basically, for me, education is kind of way or a key to learning about yourself, exploring who you are and how you are in the world, and how you can navigate the challenges that world throws at you. And the curiosity, it just kind of came about, and I wasn't planning on doing it, but it was came out of nowhere. But when it came out for me, it was like, that's it. That's what was lacking. That's what I was missing during the years, just something that was so open enough for the for all the children to have a kind of acknowledgement of where am I, like how curious can I be about this and that, like, and what is it teaching me about myself, and kind of that constant reflection on how they live and work. And that was kind of like piece of the puzzle that was missing, and I didn't know about it because the primary years program is very as you know, open-minded, and there's a lot of inquiry-based practice in it. But the curious approach is mainly to let yourself known, how do you interact with things? How do you interact with the content, with the knowledge, with what you're learning about? How does it fit, with who you are? And when we know that, when we get more confident, but we also get more compassionate, we also get more creative, because we not just kind of, as you mentioned before, there's that frame of mind in education that everything is like one way. You either do it this way, or you don't know it, or so it's just like so sad. And for me, it's kind of the way education should be. It should be kind of helping you to navigate the challenges, but also like constantly going back to you, which isn't really selfish, because then when you do that, when you start to be more compassionate towards yourself, you then open up to the rest of the world. And as you said, in our classroom, what we have, like, diversity is missing or lacking, or is somehow misinterpreted. And I see it now, like, for example, I have in my classroom, I have a blind student, and the so much just kind of joy, and so much more, how would I say, the kind of kindness and compassion and creativity that she brings in. And when she's not there, when she's there, and like the kind of, what would my other student miss if she wasn't there? It's just like, it would be such a shame. And this is why I like always say, when we bring everyone together and we learn how to be with each other, that's the world we need to be creating, not just the world of separation and the world of this individual, like, this is how I want it and I don't care about anyone else. So I don't know, that's probably a very long answer, and I don't know if I even answered,
But
but
I mean, I don't know if it's long, but it's. But in this answer, you just talked about everything. What we would like education to actually do for children, and if just tell me if I hear you correctly, as far as these ideas, why they work and why they're so important and why they should drive the change in education. Like you said, it's this children have a chance to actively be a part of their learning. So
exactly.
they're curious. They want to know. They ask questions. They want to, like, dig deeper into something. But as you said, also, that really also connects to learning how to understand themselves in the world, themselves as a problem solvers. And this is something that is really an incredible, toolkit, so to speak, for the future. Because right now, if you're like a one young person and you hear a lot about artificial intelligence, how it's going to change the world and employment and everything, if you don't learn these things, how to work together, how to be like a problem solver, how to understand yourself in terms of like knowledge building and who you are, where you are, and where you're going, then we are doing the service in education to children. If we just keep thinking about how to get good grades and how to remember facts and just learn, because the subject is that you have to take the subject, you have to take the credits. That is just not going to teach these kids how to be those problem solvers. And then a huge part of compassion, because this is also what I noticed too, as I bring my therapy dog to the classroom. Anything like that, if they can learn how to be compassionate, how to look another person who is different from them as actually like a resource. Because I guarantee, I've never interacted with a blind student, but you've seen what's happening in the classroom, and I guarantee that these kids who are not blind, they can learn a lot from this child, how she sees the world and how she uses her other senses probably to compensate for not being able to use her eyes, and that they can just learn so much about that. And then they will know how to interact with other people on a job, right? Somebody who is different than themselves. And if you only learn how to work with someone who looks like you and acts like you, we are not building a world of working together and building knowledge and better world together.
Totally. That, that kind of active participation, when the students are actively involved, then they're taking the ownership and they are also taking the responsibility. Because eventually what we don't want students to leave school with the knowledge, but then they can interact with each other, then they can defend their opinions or ask questions or communicate in a way that is respectful, for example. And I always say, when I choose something, I'm taking responsibility for that. It's not like, because normally we have in schools, you do this, it's correct, you do that, that's wrong, you need to do it this way. And they have no kind of space to the alternatives. And now, as you said, you mentioned also artificial intelligence. We need to expand instead of just close yes or no answers. And you can only do that through interoception, by looking within. How am I, how does it feel when I get this information? You know can I talk about it? Can I express myself in a way? What is stopping me? Where is fear? And all these things that we tend to like forget about in a classroom environment, traditional one, is important. And you always get, when I work with teachers, you always see when the teacher interacts on the level with the students that is inviting, that is accepting, that is, I am here for you. And you mentioned the word service. For me, it's like that is always clear when the teacher is there, present, mindful of what's going on, and the interactions happening then, or when the teacher just comes in and does the job of passing on information, the traditional way of, okay, let me tell you this and write notes, whatever, this is what you're supposed to be learning. So there's a huge kind of shift between those two, and I can see that as soon as you, and like in a world of artificial intelligence, when like things are starting to think for us and instead of us, when you get this, you know you matter, and I'm here, I'm listening, tell me about that, I'm curious about that, tell me more about that, like, what do you think? And the kids suddenly, like from that mode of kind of dormant state when everything is flat, they think somebody's interested in my opinion. Like, what is my opinion? And and then you kind of get this notion of the kind of partnership and collaboration, instead of just like a sterile environment of passing information and checking the test and doing this and doing that, which didn't serve us, is not going to serve anybody, and that's it, at the end of the day you need to get real.
So
So
yeah, it just totally makes sense, and that's exactly what I think, because something needs to be done differently, and different questions. We have to ask different questions, and I think one of the most pivotal questions is like, really, what is the role of education? I mean, if we don't ask basic questions like that, we're just going to keep introducing those artificial, reforms in education, right? And they always come and they always recycle old ideas. And the most important questions, actually, that we need to get the answers to right now are just not answered and not asked. So something needs to be definitely done for sure. But when you talk to your colleagues, to your teachers, being in the position of the mentor, are they already on the same page, or it takes some time to kind of work on that mindset that they have? How is this dynamic
very
working?
interesting. Very interesting, actually, because what is happening now in Slovakia, they are bringing like curricular reform. So it's kind of big changes, and they're going into character and metacognition, and like building up soft skills like bringing in this authentic approach.
Wow, that's good,
And
right?
yeah, yeah, totally. And that's why I'm in it, because when I saw the changes that are going in, and I was always, like I always felt like I needed to bring something back, to Slovakia in a way. Although, my background is like I actually have the primary education in the UK and all that, and I was working in private schools or state schools that run in English and whatever. And I always felt like if I want to see a change, then I need to do something for the change and I need to be actively involved. And
Yeah,
what
that's right.
happened actually, they started bringing in these regional centers for the educators, like whole Slovakia, and we function basically, we all responsible for some schools, and we go in, we do workshops with teachers, we facilitate like individual group, kind of small group where small groups where the educators bring certain issues, or like they have some questions they need to ask. So but we basically bring like my kind of passion projects or the content are the inquiry, the curiosity,
Hmm.
of course, metacognition, and a lot to do with reading, like how to interact with the students, using books and all that. And, when you ask, like, what's the notion? It's stuck. It's stuck in the past. Like I had
The teachers are stuck
yeah,
in the
I
past.
had a reunion after 30 years from my first school, from my primary school, and I was talking to all the people, and we were still like, what if the things started changing then, 30 years ago? Like, what would it look like? Well, like, but interesting thing is happening. Like we come in from the position of like partners, because I am also a teacher as well
Hmm.
as, mentor or facilitator or workshop leader. And what I always come in as a partner. So the relationship is partnership based, and the mentorship is based on the volunteers, or I don't know, like people who are interested in it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
your head teacher can't tell you, I want you to go into it, I want you to sort yourself out. So it's usually teachers who see themselves kind of stuck in a way, or they want to get more joy out of their job, or they want to kind of explore more options, or
Hmm.
they can see what they're doing with the students, what these type of students that we have in the classroom is not working, and they want to kind of readjust themselves. And I always say it's kind of micromanagement. Yeah, it's micromanagement. And what happens is when teachers start starting to take the steps back. Yeah, when it's less talking on their side, when the kids are more active and they're more engaged, and things are happening. Like I'm doing this third year now, and I can see the kind of the micromanagement, the changes, like when the teachers start to kind of navigating from their perspective, like
Hmm.
how do I see, what could I do and how would it work, and they bring themselves into it, because it's not like I'm telling you, okay, do this and do that. That never
Right.
works. Yeah, because they need to find a way, but they get that support, and we always give positive feedback on the lessons, and like we bring the good things, and often it's like, gosh, I never thought of that, like how that works. So like I've
Hmm.
forgotten like they do naturally some good things, and nobody tells them, yeah, like that's really good, or like it really works. I could see students, doing this and that, and so we kind of bring them back to kind of on the good level, and then they see like, okay, so I have certain type of students, what could I do, like, and I always
Hmm.
say, you transition from the position of the traditional teacher to facilitator. You're kind of there, you kind of navigate, and you are totally in control. But it's like with inquiry based learning, you are playing the second violin. Yeah, it's no longer you like in the center.
Right. Yeah.
Then when the magic starts happening. So I have teachers who I worked with third year I'm working with them, and some teachers I started working few months, and they maybe didn't even believe in the process, but when they started and they saw that like these micro changes, really it's never big things, it's always like a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and they kind of sometimes they don't even want to believe like what's happening, like how the kids can suddenly change, like bring some good questions or ask them what they think, and even like basic things. So it works really well. So it's kind of project that is funded by the EU, I want
Mm-hmm.
to say, and it's happening. The school will have to all join in to this program from next September, and we kind of preparing them for it, like if they want. Yes, it's always like an option. But when like for me, it's like big thing like metacognition. When they start bringing that into the classroom, then the magic happens as well. And so a lot of things, a lot of good things can be happening, like just due to some tweaking, like bits and bobs here and there, and then we've got it.
But I like how this is done. It's not like this mandated stuff, but it's more like, all right, here it is, and there are mentors who volunteer, but then it's also based on how teachers they just kind of like determine something. All right, this is not working in my classroom, and I would like to change something, and I just would like some help, right, from one of the mentors. And it's just like that. So it's not like this mandated, here is the change of the curriculum. We all have to do it because that's what's happening in the United States and in New York State. That's how we all have to do it right now. And this is just really, it never works. It just never works. We've known it for decades and we keep doing the same strange thing. I call it just like an artificial way of changing education. Oh, we need the change. We need the change. So it's this artificial way of changing by mandating, and I love it. If I could ask you the question, because you're talking about the soft skills. I just released a podcast this week, and that's what I talked about with Dennis Pitoko, who is a quite known figure on LinkedIn. He's got an amazing platforms for anybody who would like to write, like a blog, or even speak. You would be incredible. You need to connect with him. I can connect you too, but you have to be on LinkedIn. There is no other way.
I am
And
certainly there,
so you
like
need
I am.
to get on that platform because you've got some incredible ideas, and then you bring in those ideas also educate what's happening in education in Europe too. And we were talking about soft skills because he said on the podcast, I had no college, so anything I did, how far I went at that time, it was like a banking industry, and I think it started in England if I'm not mistaken. But we were talking about soft skills, and that's what got him, as far as he went. And we were talking about it, how this is the missing piece. Really, we don't teach kids those soft skills really, in any really concrete ways. So, what are those soft skills, like examples that they trying to focus?
Uh, yeah, it's. I just want to say, going back a little bit when you mentioned the change in education, because as you said, how it's done, it's kind of unfortunate way. What I find with the teachers when they kind of realize why is it necessary, like why do they need to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and why does it not work the way they have been doing it for a long time, and we bring in the students, we bring in the parents, we bring in the changes in the society and what's going on, and they kind of experience it because the workshops are very hands-on and they experience it like hands-on. They kind of realize like why hasn't this been done always, like just it's just kind of the way it works. And I always feel like when I know why I'm doing something, whatever change it is, how it's going to impact this
Mm-hmm.
person
Mm-hmm.
for the future, then it's going to work. Then I'm willing to do those small micromanagements because I know that it will have the positive impact in the long
Yeah.
run. So that is the key for me, like because I often come into the group of teachers and they kind of stuck or like they this already like in a no-go zone, and it takes a little bit of time to kind of realize like who are we here for, what is our goal, and why, what do we want these children to feel and know and be. And then it starts kind of little bit, like they start to change the perspective if they kind of insist on doing it the way it's always been done, then it's kind of like, I think like that's kind of, they need to reconsider their position and see if that's the best job for them. But it's always, as soon as they realize why the change is necessary, then they're kind of willing to do a little bit for it. And everybody has something else, you know, strengths, weaknesses, we all have
Yeah,
them.
sure. Yeah.
But in terms of the soft skills, like those are, I always get curious about this one because often it's always been like when I talk to teachers about like communication skills, for example, you know, and they always say, well, that's we do that. They talk to each other, yeah. And I'm like, and that's what's happening. Yeah? We expect all the children to have these soft skills because
Right.
we kind of think like that's what they're supposed to have and
Mhm.
know. But then when we realize like then they either doing it just on a very basic level and even we are not building up their skills. So if we're talking about communication skills, like how do I listen to somebody, yeah, like how do I show it first, like what's my body language and like what is it telling me that I'm listening, like then how do I show it on the kind of understanding level, like what am I talking back to the person, you know, like, and then you start kind of looking into it and it gets interesting. Then children can really easily assess their soft skills. They can say exactly where they are. Can I do this? Do I listen well? Do I ask these questions? What type of questions am I asking? And then they know like what do I need to do in order to improve, yeah. That's why I kind of liked when I worked at the PYP program, I liked the learner profile because it was kind of set of skills. You know, you need to be open-minded, yeah. You need to be knowledgeable. You need to be curious. Like basically, you in order to be wholesome, you need to have these all set of skills, and it's not one is better than other. There's not, and in many schools, it's just this knowledgeable, yeah. Nobody talks about being caring, you know, like because
I think they,
so you be knowledgeable,
yeah.
you don't need to care, and it's just there. It was like on the same level. As much as you need to be knowledgeable, you also need to be caring. You also need to be open-minded, and they understood that everything is like a package for them, and if they
Mhm.
kind of achieve that, if they achieve this, if they put it in their rucksack, then they are able to be the wholesome being. You know, they can really navigate themselves in the world.
I
So,
totally agree. It's just that, in the kids here too, meaning, in the United States, they're going to hear these things like caring, you have
mm,
to be all kind to each other. But it rarely goes beyond that.
mm,
These things still need to be taught, and they have to be taught in a way that will connect to children and they will actually understand the value of these things. Because I think in the society, as I'm sure both of us know, I think these words like caring, kindness,
mm,
on the surface level, many people perceive these things as not a, it don't sound like very good life strategies. It's just
mm,
caring, kind, people just gonna walk all over you if you are like that. I mean, seriously, there is a little bit of meaning of these words, like by and large. So it's like, how do you teach kids the value of these concepts? That's what we're doing right now, with my therapy dog too. And I just wonder, because if you don't mind, we're talking about if you could share with us like one strategy. Is there anything, and I'm sure you do have a lot of ideas, an example of how one of those soft skills could be maybe learned in a way that's, like not very beyond children. You need to be kind to each other, right? That they usually they hear it, but they don't care much about it.
mm,
I heard it from my own child who many times was taught in that way, be kind to them, you need to be kind here. They don't really care about this kind of teaching much. They're kids. You can't fool them, right? You can't just say something and expect that they're going to be all of a sudden all kind and caring. So
mm.
I wonder if there is something like that you could share with us or something different. Any idea of how to help kids become a little bit more caring or kind or any other soft skill that you think might be like effective, right?
Yeah, that's a great question because what is happening, as you said, those things like kindness, can get a bit um, woozy, shall I say?
Yep.
Because what is happening really, we kind of project it, so be kind to others, like it's always towards someone.
Yeah.
And where the students need to start, they need to start from themselves. And what I feel like, and what I liked about also this change in our curriculum, is that there's that character and metacognition is kind of it should go through everything. And often when we say caring, like do you care, do you not care? But what can they do, like even when they share a piece of work, like they can also talk about how long did it take me? Did I work really hard? Or was I caring towards myself? Like I worked for an hour, then I took a break. And when I worked with the PYP students, what we did, we kind of we observed these soft skills or learner profiles, whatever you want to call it, through a lens of everything. So how did I show on this work on myself that I was caring, like so it was kind of that kind of curious towards my actions and being able, like they always say, put your oxygen mask on first, yeah, before
Right.
you put
Yeah,
it
yeah,
at,
you're right.
and I feel like it's like with everything, like if I can demonstrate it in my learning, in my approach with the technology, how much I use the technology, for example, if I can learn it on myself, yeah, caring to then it's really easy to project outwards. But often what happens is the students, they are really damaging towards themselves, yeah, they kind of overuse technology, they kind of, I don't know, often
Yeah.
it's take substances even, it's really hard, so they are damaging towards themselves, and then we ask them to be caring. So we need to kind of start with teaching them or helping them more, like not even teaching them, helping them to be more caring towards themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be through modeling, like I can talk about my evening routine with the students, and I can talk to them about how I feel when I'm overuse technology and I spend too much time on my mobile phone. How it make me feel, and I can talk about my own experience, and that they can then maybe see, like, I can really see where she's going with that, but she's not telling me what to do,
Exactly. Yeah.
but she's
Mm-hmm.
talking about how is that making her feel and what can we do about it. And then slowly they start bringing on their own experiences. So often teachers think they kind of isolate it from the rest of the class or students, like it's me, it's my world, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of don't share that personal experience. And as
Right.
soon as soon as they do and they start modeling that, then the kids can kind of take that as a kind of good sign of that gives them permission to be kind and compassionate toward themselves. Because I think that's where we're failing. We're asking them to do that outwardly before we even, care about the individual. And that's not being selfish, we're not teaching them being selfish. We're teaching them in order to be able to look after someone, be
Mm-hmm.
caring towards someone, I need to learn it on myself first. I need
Right.
to demonstrate it through my own experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard, in educational institution. I went to education too, obviously, but speaking about that, how you start with yourself, how you need to be caring and kind to yourself, that's very important. But also how to do it, right? It's not like in this teaching mode, but it's like, yeah, teacher sharing their own experiences from their own life. It could be even done with, well, if teacher has a therapy dog team coming in, well, therapy dog team, they can share their experiences. That's what I do, right? I share
Exactly.
about my life with the kids, and they also so curious because I'm not the teacher. So it's so curious. And then, of course, we share about what Caramel does to my dog, which they know how to take care of themselves, dogs. They know very well. So kids can learn so much from these experiences. And yeah, I mean, and again, when you think about it, these strategies, they don't have to be very complicated.
Mm,
Right? It's not complicated. The teacher sharing from her own experience, modeling how, well, kids, you have to kind of take care of yourself and see how that goes, how they doing with this, right? And then you kind of expand on this. I love this. And I love
mm.
how simple that is, really. If you could also, if you would like to mention a little bit more about your book as we come into the closing of our chat, that would be great, about where the book is also available. Anything you would like to share with our wonderful audience about the book so they can get it? And also where on social media. I know you're going to be on LinkedIn, but you already on
I am
LinkedIn, teacher.
there for
But I
sure.
know you're going to
Yeah.
be more active on LinkedIn. But so where on social media, where everybody's like, well, what are they talking about? Well, before this chat that's recorded, we also had unrecorded chats, just so you all know. If you could share all these things, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Barb. It's
Sure.
really nice to be here and it's great chatting to you.
My pleasure.
Uh, what I want to kind of go back to what you said about Carmel and, like, and I just kind of realized one thing that I don't think we highlighted enough, and is that learning is shared experience, and often we forget that, and it's just such a beautiful way that you describe that we can talk about, like, how do I care for Carmel, like what does Carmel do to function in this world, and how does she navigate,
Yeah.
and just that's just beautiful way of connecting and just creating this safe space for connections and inviting people to feel relaxed and like open about it. And what about you, how do you have it, like how often
Mm-hmm.
do you brush your hair, and like do you ever brush your hair and things like that. And we are kind of creating this shared experience that after all, like, whatever we're learning, it's just connecting to us and the world around us. And often we forget that how simple it can be. And we mentioned the word caring, when you then you take the ownership, and then it's authentic because you care, like. And I don't just need to care for other person, I can care about my environment, I can, and it just kind of translates into everything I do. So caring is not just towards some is towards my family, my neighbors, my community, my planet, and my universe. And just it just goes back and forth, and it creates this spiral in a way. But it is shared experience, and if you forget about it, if you forget that it's a shared experience, then we lose something very valuable in our education. And is that connection, is that authenticity, and that is such a shame. And I always say, when whatever, you know however you want to see it, when the children know that you care, and you waiting, and it's not just one answer fits for all, then magic starts to happen, because you're inviting options, you're inviting care, creativity, and curiosity, and everything. So when you are curious, you observe the signs. Your rocket is on the rise. You think of fun things to do, and without further ado, you see the world anew. The world suddenly changes into something that you just didn't have labels on before. It's just the labels start to disappearing, and you start to connect. When you're curious, you explore new places, you solve tricky mazes, you spark a fire, you climb even higher.
Yep, I remember that.
So, when you're curious, you leave a new trace, and you join the curious race with all the curious people from all over the place. Because after all, I just want to finish off with something. I was looking through the reviews on my book because I haven't looked into it for ages, and you were, like, asking about how people interacted with my book. And I had one beautiful kind of review comment, and it said, um, to show how beautiful we all are as one, yet unique in every way. And that kind of encapsulates what we've been talking about,
Yep.
like how we approach ourselves, our uniqueness, but
Mhm.
also how we understand that this is a shared experience. And we are here for each other. And in order, if I'm here for somebody, then I need to first be here for myself.
Exactly. This is really a cool idea. I didn't even think about it. We're just goodness, but how you also
Mm,
consider yourself is true. Something it gave me an idea. Well,
mm.
obviously everybody gives me idea,
That's
and as
brilliant.
a
That's
curious
what it's all
person,
about.
you just gave me an idea too how to extend our work. With our dog
Mm,
to in school because I think that. That's really, I mean, yeah, kids learn about knowledge and curriculum is a part of teaching and learning, obviously, but these soft skills, I don't know why they call them soft, but they should be like
essential.
life-saving skills, essential skills. I hate this word. I shouldn't, but I just don't like the soft because it
Yeah, because
again
soft kind
implies
of, yeah,
not
weakness.
important, right? Like it's not really important. It's just something soft. It doesn't matter, but it actually matters more than anything else. So that's the beautiful way of finalizing our chat. And where are you? Where can your book be purchased? And where you are on social media?
So my book is called When You Are Curious, and it's available on Amazon and all the kind of different bookshops,
Hmm.
online bookshops, or anywhere. People can also approach me directly. I can always do an order and send them with some kind of curious package. I love doing that. And I'm on Instagram as Books with Meaning, where I share books that I share with my students, but I also connect with different authors
Hmm.
and kind of share their books and kind of it's kind of community that we built over the years, which I'm very grateful for. And on LinkedIn, I think I'm as me, Veronika Darwell. I'm sure.
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, and it's like no surprises there, and people are more than welcome to join me. And I love kind of connecting with different educators from all over the world, sharing ideas, and just we need to help each other and support each other because we
Yeah.
are in it, and it's a community built kind of environment that we need to foster because otherwise we're gonna go crazy, and
I know. And we don't want to go crazy.
yeah, whichever country you're in, children are children everywhere, and we need to be bringing these shared experiences for ourselves and also
Sure.
share the experiences we have and help each other. So I'm always very grateful for different educators, people from all over the world who would like to connect, and like it just makes me so happy. So
Yeah, and there are
great.
some educators too who are especially really active on all kinds of platforms, but there is a lot of content on teaching, quite a bit, I think, too, for educators on LinkedIn too. So I think you would enjoy to interact with some of them more, definitely. It was wonderful to talk to you, to reconnect too, because it's been a while since we had that famous live on Instagram, right?
For
That
sure,
was a
it's been
while
a
ago.
couple of years, I think at least, but it's been lovely to be in touch with you and see where you're going and see your expansion into the world and how much care and joy and compassion you bring. And it
Thank you. We're
makes me
trying.
so
How I always
happy.
like to say, we're just trying to do the best we can, and I'll be so happy once the episode airs about, to talk more about these ideas because every time it happens, we post a clip from the video, from the podcast, and that sparks more discussion, more comments, and so we have more conversation about that, and not just from like teaching community because everybody is involved in education too. It doesn't matter if somebody has
True.
kids or not, but everybody has ideas and opinions about education, and that's important too. It's not just kids, parents, and teachers, but
That's right.
right, we all there's a lot of people who don't even work in as educators, but their ideas about education is absolutely incredible, and they should be incorporated into education. So
Yeah,
that's what
it's
we're
a
trying
shared
to do here.
experience, as we said,
Yeah.
like we are all in it in one pot, and
Mm-hmm.
you
So we are
know,
just bringing everybody together. Thank you so much, Veronica. It was wonderful. And I would like to invite our audience, once the episode airs, to, of course, watch. Let us know what you think. But you can follow my show anytime. You don't have to wait for this episode, right, to air. And connect with Veronika, follow her on social media, get her book, and let us know what you think about this conversation once it airs. And thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you on social media.
Thank you so much, Barb. It was
You're very
a
welcome.
pleasure. Thank you so
Bye.
much, and see you soon. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
This is Get Inspired with Dr. Barb.